Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for the Caribbean, where we are going to talk about a very interesting strategy in terms of using agentic AI for customer support as well as a lot of things on sales as well. Agentic AI has been all the buzzword, but I think in the Caribbean context, Abhinav, it's really exciting what it can do in both customer support and sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think we have such amazing announcements that have been coming out in the agentic AI space that I think it's going to be a lot of fun in terms of what and agentic AI kind of will bring to the table as we move to, you know, newer capabilities, what's possible, what people can do when it comes to agents. It's just going to be really phenomenal.
And before we get into it, Abhinav, any thoughts on DeepSeek? It's wiped off so much of market capitalization in the states. It's everything what everyone AI is saying. Any thoughts on that before we get into our webinar today?
No, absolutely. I think it's basically gone to prove that these models are going to get better and better every day. They're going to get smarter. They're going to get a lot cheaper. And what DeepSeek proved is essentially what Anthropic and OpenAI took about 100 million US dollars to do. They did an equivalent of about 5 million US dollars, right? And the models smaller, easier to use, lighter, can be deployed on premise. So suddenly they've opened a new way of doing things, and the way they trained it also is a little different.
Okay.
So the typical way of training these LLMs, which is like for the reasoning part, right? How does it learn to reason? Is you give it a lot of examples, and that's why you use something called SFT, which is supervised fine tuning, or DPO, which is direct preferential ordering, which essentially means you kind of you teach the model very manually.
Okay.
Like, oh, okay, here's a bunch of examples, and the human prefers this, or this is the right way to reason this.
Okay.
And that's how a lot of these models are built. What DeepSeek did was they gave the model certain really simple, not simple, but complex goals, but goals that are very easy to check if they are doing it right or wrong, right? So programming problems, mathematical problems.
Okay.
And they told it to just try things, and they gave it feedback whether its answer was correct or wrong.
Okay.
And that change in approach basically reduced costs, made the model better.
20x.
Yeah, and yeah, in terms of MMU scores, it's almost like it's at par, slightly better.
Okay.
In terms of like a few percentage points better than OpenAI and Anthropic.
Okay.
So that change in approach is what kind of allowed them to do some really cool things, essentially.
Right. And today we're going to talk about a change in approach on how customer support and sales can be done in the Caribbean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think we're very excited. So welcome all of you to this webinar. If you've just joined us, we're just about to get started. We were just discussing a little bit about DeepSeek. But yes, let's get into it, Abhinav, and let's really talk about these possibilities. And when we talk about this, we're not only talking about it from a theoretical perspective, but there are actually Caribbean institutions which have gone ahead and really deployed this technology out there comprehensively.
Yes.
And seen results.
Yes. Absolutely. No, I'm excited to share that. Janvi, if you can have our screen also come up while we're talking, so that the audience can see it.
All right. And just before we get started, we have a special. We have a GenAI community for generative AI for the Caribbean. So if you're on WhatsApp, just do scan that first one, and it will add you to our WhatsApp community. And we have we have a newsletter which talks about GenAI. If you guys want, you can subscribe to that. So we have these 2 QRs out there for you guys to quickly scan. John, we will be putting the links in to both of these in the chat, so don't worry about it. Let's just go ahead into this webinar. All right, so I'd love to start with a small puzzle to all of you. You're in a room, and there are only 3 doors out. Either one door leads to a fire pit, One door leads to a lion, which is not eaten in 3 months, and one door leads to a 1,000 foot drop, a direct drop. Any ideas on which of these three doors, you would like to go out? Because you have to choose the three doors. That's the only way out, and you do want to get out of that room. Do feel free to post your thoughts in the comments if you feel which door would you want to go in, the fire pit, the lion, the 1,000 foot drop, just to get your brain sort of activated before we go deeper into the actual webinar.
Yeah, so we're live across a couple of platforms on this webinar. So we'll be getting comments centralized across all. You guys might not see all the comments depending on where you've logged in from, but we'll keep you posted in terms of what people are asking and posting.
Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of 1,000 foot drops. Okay, people are saying they can parachute down there. I see one with the lion. So anyway, let's sort of break the suspense. Let's sort of tell you. Oh, right, Terry's got the right answer. I think, Terry, you broke my surprise. Yes, the lion is dead after 3 months, so that's the right door, right? Yeah. So today's webinar is all about breaking these paradigms, right? We sort of want to look at it from the perspective of solving your business challenges is solving riddles. So do question some of the key assumptions. The Susan and Jelen have also said the line. So yeah, so we're seeing, I think a lot of folks are getting the right answer.
Yeah, I think we get the comments really a little delayed. So yeah.
Right. So yeah, the lion, probably died from starvation. So yeah, we love you to just sort of break some of these assumptions around AI, around customer support, and really look at this new paradigm that we sort of want to talk about going in today.
The future isn't just approaching, it's already here.
So a little bit about us
Fluid AI's
before we get into
Agentic AI. I'm Aisha Neo, your guide to this game-changing era of intelligent workflows. Fluid AI's Agentic AI is at the forefront of a revolution, driven by a series of groundbreaking milestones that are reshaping industries and setting new standards for the future. Our visionary founders grace the cover of Forbes India, celebrated as pioneers of the AI revolution. In the media, Fluid AI has earned a reputation as a true disruptor in AI. Global powerhouses like Barclays, MasterCard, Mercedes-Benz, Societe Generale, Bank of America, and Bosch rely on Fluid AI to break barriers and deliver transformative results. And who could forget Forbes' iconic 100th anniversary? Fluid AI brought Warren Buffett to life with a digital avatar, powered by decades of his wisdom, books, letters, and speeches. Imagine asking the Oracle of Omaha your toughest questions and getting real-time insights crafted with his signature style. On October 31st, 2022, Fluid AI redefined creativity by launching Bridging the AI Gap, the world's first book authored entirely by AI. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned to discover how Fluid AI's visionaries can redefine what's possible for your business with Agentic AI.
Right.
Awesome. So the beauty was that she, the person who introduced us, she was a completely AI generated, and just wanted to give a quick intro, but you can see the quality that AI has reached today, right? She sounds amazing. She looks real. It's just phenomenal in terms of what's possible when you look at AI. And I know we're going to talk a lot about customer support, Gen AI that's customer facing, right? Whether it's in the support, sales side. But it just goes to show that, the world is going to change very, very quickly.
Yep.
The future.
That was a little bit of an element of AI before we got started. So that's Abhinav, that's me, Raghav. And Abhinav, so let's get to the heart of it, right? Before we understand what does Agentic AI do for customer support and sales, what is Agentic AI?
Yeah. And I think we have an amazing lineup today, right? We're going to talk about the 3 key strategies to look at when you're deploying Agentic AI for automating customer support and sales. We're going to be launching the Caribbean Resource Report as well, which talks about how banks
and financial
institutions are leveraging it. So there's a lot to come, and we're going to actually show some live demos as well of approaches when you look at deploying Agentic AI for solutions like this. So I think, Raghav, you brought up a beautiful starter to it. So guys, please, and girls, please keep asking questions. keep throwing them in the comment box. We will be taking them in real time on the fly. So if you have anything that's burning, please go ahead and throw it out. We want to keep the session as interactive as possible. So when it comes to what an agent is, right? An agent is, and I'll show you a quick example really quickly, shortly. But an agent is anything that has agency, right? And by agency, I mean it has ability to understand what the user is saying, and then actually take actions on it, autonomously decide the right action, take that particular action, and then communicate back, right? And everyone talked about AIs being great at prompting and being great to answer questions, but that was for 2023 and 2024. 2025, everyone is saying, is about AI agents and how they're going to enable work to be a lot smarter. So if I just open up a sample workflow and show you guys what it looks like, this is what a series of agents can look like, right? So if I open an agent, you're essentially telling it a bunch of things. Let me take a different agent. Yeah, this one looks nice. So I'm telling it, I'm giving it a set of instructions. So that's again in plain English, what it can do, what it should do in different
essentially
situations.
The prompt.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Essentially the prompt. I'm also telling it where it can go, who else it can go to, right? So like who else does it have access to? So the way we see agents is not just single agents, right? Like, hey, this agent can do this really well, but a team of agents working together, kind of like an office. So when you have an office or a team, your own team will be
team.
Yeah, or even your office, like colleagues that you work with, right? You'll be a team of different specialists. Someone's good at coding, someone's good at finance, someone's good at marketing, and this team comes together. AIs work extremely similar to people, and I think that's something we should know, that we should start seeing now, that almost all of AI development is built on kind of modeling what people do in their real worlds.
So Abhinav, this is different from the old generative AI paradigm where we thought one model will solve it, right?
Correct.
These are literally team members, experts,
Yes,
who sort of connect, and there's an orchestrator,
yes,
who sort of commands these agents to sort of, who's the conductor of this symphony.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So here we've kind of given it the prompt, we've given it where it can go also, we've told it what tools it has access to. So these are like the different kinds of things the AI can actually execute. So if you're a bank or an insurer or a credit union, you could actually let's say you have card balance. This is for like a financial institution. So you would have card balance, you have account opening, account balance, PIN authentication, getting a case details, getting a card location, if it's getting shipped to you, validating the customer OTP, and a bunch of other fun ones, right? Like create a presentation, send an email, read emails, even talk to like things like Perplexity, which is like a internet AI search. So it can do and connect to all these. You can add as many tools. And you can tell it which model to use, right? So everything from an OpenAI GPT to a Llama to a Mixtral to even a DeepSeek, which is all the rage of late. So you can actually connect it up to any model, and then each agent is connected independently. So each agent could have its own model, own tools, own instructions.
Okay.
And they keep on handing back beautifully to each other as and when the need arises.
Awesome. So now that we've got a little bit of an understanding of what agentic AI is, let's take it to the customer support and sales paradigm.
Yes.
That's in the Caribbean,
Yeah.
right? Let's go a little deeper. How it sort of comes up is
Go ahead.
Is four different elements of customer support and sales, wherein you start with something as simple as email, you move on to WhatsApp, then we talk about website, and then we talk about voice, right? So one of the interesting facts I read about in the Caribbean is that 42% of customer support emails go unresponded because there's a bandwidth issue, right? It's tough to respond to all customer support emails. Most banks and most financial institutions are behind on this SLA of responding on email. And email is actually a very low cost channel, right? It's extremely cheap to respond on email versus a human agent on phone versus live chat because it's asynchronous. So there's a real opportunity if we launch email AI agents, which can read emails and respond to them, to really take down this cost. Because once we start responding and within minutes rather than days and weeks, that's when more customers start using this low cost channel, this very beautiful channel, which sort of gets ignored there. WhatsApp is another key channel that we feel agentic AI can take forward, right? Because once the user has saved your number, it's a slight bit of a journey. But in the Caribbean, we have about 80% penetration on WhatsApp right now.
Nice.
So with this 80% of penetration, can WhatsApp be that channel where users actually communicate, not just for basic information like a branch time, but getting things done? Can you get a statement? Can you block a card? Can it be that one source? And it shouldn't be the old style, right? One for balance, two for block card. It should be something where I can just go there and communicate what I need when I need it. About 50% of Caribbean banking customers today are now using website and mobile app. One thing is there that these users are using the website and mobile app of these financial institutions on a daily basis. But when they need support, they're redirected either in the current paradigm to email or to a phone number. So with the integration of agentic AI chat, can we have the same channel where our customers are logging in every day, either for support, support or sales? Use that same channel and in an instantaneous manner. It shouldn't be that if I log into mobile banking at 11 p.m., I'm not going to get support. It should be the same as sending money at 11 p.m. I get support on the same channel at 11 p.m. at night. 50% of Caribbean banking and financial users still believe in voice support. They're still calling the call center. So that's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
But what's exciting with agentic AI, and I think we're going to demo that a little later,
Yeah.
is the possibility of having voice AI on that channel. So that even these users have a great experience.
Yeah.
Costs go lower, and it can all happen on the phone call out there.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to email, and I'll be really quick on this, agentic AI changes the paradigm from the old email response systems, wherein it can carry back and forth conversations, right, Abhinav?
Yeah.
It can, if the user has missed a particular detail, it's not like it'll escalate to a human. It can actually send back a response saying, hey, I need to know a little more so I can solve your query. So it's not going to escalate to the human agent just yet. It's going to keep pushing. It's going to keep having a back and forth conversation. Some email conversations go 6 to 7 email threads deep, right, with agentic AI, and solve the issue at hand.
Absolutely. We already have, I think, some of the largest financial institutions in the Caribbean that are leveraging this. So real-time responses, you'll in fact see that sometimes at the bottom of a support email that comes back saying powered by AI.
Yeah. And then we go to the live chat paradigm. So, email is great, but with live chat and with AI live chat, one of the key things is that it can launch quickly. We can embed it on the website and app. And most importantly, there is no tedious creation of manual journeys, right? So in the old paradigm, in the NLP chatbot world, a lot of time was spent on creating different kinds of journeys and flows, etc. Whereas now with agentic AI, you have instant updates with new information.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe why don't we show people
a live demo?
Yeah, an example of this. So this is where we've created our agents, and we're going to start chatting with it as well right away. So we have a knowledge-based agent can answer knowledges, a card block agent that blocks the card, a card balance agent can retrieve my balance. They just kind of set them up, give them access to the relevant tool, and you are good to go. So it's actually quite quick and efficient. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to also bring up my phone on the right because it is going to send me a couple of messages. So I just want to ensure that you guys can see everything that's happening.
So this is for the authentication.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, what I wanted to show is that when you're creating these agents, and we'll show you how do you create them, what powers them, how should you go about it. But when you're creating a lot of these agents, essentially, right, what you want to do is create them in an architecture that's super flexible. and give them like real-time access to actually do things. So not just be restricted to run-of-the-mill items. So we have here. I'm just gonna open my messages. Let's archive everything, and we're gonna say we're gonna start chatting with her. So hi.
So I'm going to bear in mind that the current interface
Yes.
is just the backend, right? You can make this any color, any look and feel.
Yeah. Particularly, like it'll be embedded on a website like this.
Okay,
So you throw in a bunch of JavaScript. Ideally, all your agentic implementation should be you throw in a bunch of JavaScript on your website. You have an AI agent that looks like this, embeddable. You can talk to on voice, and then you can also interact on text.
Okay.
That's how you should probably look at when you're looking at agentic AI. Coming back to my screen, so I've just said hi to her and say, okay, I want my credit card balance. So it's gone to the router agent. Router agent, the main orchestrator is saying, oh, okay, to authenticate, we'll need the TRN so that we can proceed. So, okay, my TRN is, throw it in there. And now it's sent it to the auth agent, right? So this is where the beauty is. And if you notice, as soon as the authenticator agent kicked in, it fired a request to the validate TOTP SMS tool that sent all my details, and I instantly got an SMS. So these aren't just AIs that can, go ahead and, these aren't just AIs that can go ahead and, think through or work together, but they actually can execute real-time activities.
So for our audience, I mean, the TOTP is like a one-time password, right?
Correct.
That got generated.
Yes.
So it's authenticating you from your cell phone.
Correct. Right. So if I'm calling in or I'm chatting just from any platform, it needs to do at least one level of auth, and that's also something you should look at when you're building your agentic AI systems, right? Auth is the rock bed of what you're going to build. So you definitely need to ensure that users are authenticated at least through 2 points of verification when you're bringing them in for these kind of activities, so that it's secure. I know fraud is a big matter in the Caribbean. So just to ensure that your fraud rates actually go down when you're using a technology like this. Now it's asking me for last 4 digits. Last 4 digits are 784. And then it's gone to the card balance agent now. And there you go. So the card balance agent is gone ahead. It's given me my balance is $1,200. It should have been higher, but that's what the world is today. But no, jokes apart, it's actually gone ahead and kind of given the entire card balance, call the card balance tool, pass my TRN, pass my details. It knows I'm authenticated, and then it's got my actual balance in. So I need to be working a little harder so that this, or shopping a little more. One of the two. Either way, so, kind of wanted to showcase how it's so easy and fast to set these up, because let's say tomorrow I have a particular tool. I'm just going to stop casting my phone so that you can see the full screen now. There we go. So if let's say tomorrow a new tool comes in, right? Okay. I have the option of saying, okay, if it's like card related, I could even sync it and add it to this tool itself, saying, okay, this one can do card balance and card, something else. I can just create a new agent and then make it available for the relevant tools that it needs at that point in time. Looks like we have a question. You said the backend look and feel can be edited to suit our needs, and that question is from Jalen. Yes, absolutely. So, the colors that you choose, the look. So in fact, even in here, you can actually go ahead and put in your own color schemes.
It's totally brand, it can be very branded.
Exactly.
Right?
As an experience. So that's essentially how you'd want to try and have an agentic AI system. Like Raghav mentioned, one of the key things you should look at is the swappability of models. So don't get tied down to a particular model because they're changing so fast. So I think that's one of our big tips, that keep looking at models, architectures that can keep changing with time. The second big tip is, there's so many agentic libraries out there that are becoming popular. So there's Screw AI, there's LangChain, there's LangGraph. It's like with the modeling world, it's very hard to keep track of what might become popular tomorrow and, what might kick off. So the way this structure works is that you define the AI here, the underlying library can be swapped in and out at any point in time.
So Jalen's is also asked whether the agent name can be edited. That's correct, Jalen. You can modify the agent name, give it a persona, in fact.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, which is very brand centric.
Correct.
Right. I think Rahul's asked the question is on what is the difference between current chatbots providing card balances and agentic AI.
Yes. Yeah. So where agentic AI comes in, right? Like two things. One is, if you notice, the old paradigm, and we've created a lot of these in our past history, is about, you set up really complex flows and journeys. So you need to really tell the user, okay, do this, then ask him this, then ask them this. So what's showing up as just one agent would be like a 6-step flow, with lots of routes out, back and forth. The user would have not be able to switch out, right? So if he's caught in a particular flow and suddenly says, oh, actually, wait, you know what, I realize I don't have my TRN. What can you explain me what a TRN is? The system will, like an intelligent being, manage, give you the answer, move back and forth. So it's not restrictive to a particular flow or a journey you've reached in. So it's smart that way. It's intelligent. Adding new journeys is very easy and efficient. And you don't have to keep giving it the language for each question, each answer, right? So the knowledge base agent will look up like thousands of documents at the back. So you just upload it, give it access to your website. It's going to look up everything in real time to give answers, kind of like, hooking it up with an internet search tool as well. So what you have, and you'll see this really powerfully maybe in the next demo that we'll show you, is when you take these paradigms on phone, suddenly if you have like a flow-based bot, that's going to die in that particular world. And we'll show you that. Let's show you the phone era and what it looks like.
Welcome to Fluid AI Agentic platform. In this demonstration, once you've logged in,
So we're going to show you an actual phone call, right? I've been off an AI agent. Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Awesome. How can I help you?
I want to block my card.
Checking that for you now. Please hold on. I can assist you with the card block process.
Can I check my credit card balance first?
So here, if you saw the user change the request suddenly on the phone.
I can assist you with checking your credit card balance. However, I need to authenticate you first. Could you please provide your TRN tax registration number?
Sure, it's 123442299.
Let me see what I can find. Thank you for providing your TRN. Now, could you please provide the last 4 digits of your card?
Sure, the last 4 digits are 9988.
So if you get the drift, right, the ability for it to be smart, talk to a person in a very agile manner and handle the situation, sound very human, and be very unique in every conversation. It fundamentally changes the game. Your click-through rates, your usage rates go massively up. The conversion rates go up. The amount of solves that you can do go phenomenally up, especially in things like even unstructured channels like email and phone, right? While live chat is still a little more structured, like email, if you try a traditional bot on email, it's going to die because it's not going to even understand the context of the email because it's expecting buttons and flows. Similarly on phone call. So you want an agentic strategy that allows you to be multi-channel and even on live chat have much higher conversion rates.
Sure. And so that's the whole paradigm when it comes to phone, right?
Correct.
And then we talk about agentic AI in sales.
Yes.
Where it can be really powerful as well, right? Because it can reach out across multiple channels.
Yeah.
It's not to existing and new customers.
Yeah.
And it can do not just the information side, it can do eligibility, it can do qualification, and it can do onboarding as well. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that's very exciting is the AI influencer, right? I think we saw a little bit about Aisha, which is our very own influencer. You can follow her on Instagram. But it can be used by banks as well, right? For education, for social media presence. It personifies literally the support avatar that you create. So if you want to sort of say to your customers, hey, when you're talking to our Agentic AI platform, you're talking to some sort of personification. That's when these AI avatars can become really powerful in terms of what's out there.
So you can check her out at the rate Aisha Neo on Instagram, and she keeps posting amazing stuff on AI, what's going on. So do give her a follow to see the latest and greatest and just see the quality of where AI has reached today. So conceptually, you can have these AIs, and then we'll go into our 3-point strategy, right? Really, right after this, into how you can actually, what all the pitfalls, what should you look care of while building your agentic AI for customer facing. But this is an amazing strategy for just building an AI influencer for your brand.
Hey there, I'm Aisha Neo, Fluid AI's own avatar. But today, I've got company. Since we're talking banking and customer support, meet Fluid Bank's very own AI avatar.
What if your credit card didn't just keep up with your lifestyle, but elevated it? I'm Fluid Bank's AI avatar, here to introduce the Fluid Bank Elite Credit Card. Earn 10 reward points per dollar internationally, 5 points locally.
So a really smart AI that you can bring in, and that's what GenAI makes possible today. But let's go to the 3-point strategy for financial institutions in the Caribbean when you're actually looking at implementing a lot of this.
Yeah, so I think before we go to the 3 points, I think DeepSeek just proved it out, and that's the bonus strategy.
Yes.
Is that be flexible,
Correct.
right? Don't get locked in into proprietary platforms. Look at where you can sort of change models quickly, easily, and really go deep, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, like we said, it's all about having that ability to build something that's swappable, not locked in, exportable out into anything, that gives you that little bit of an edge as the space is changing so very quickly.
So what's the first strategy? I think what we believe is that a big bang approach to changing customer support can be replaced by an evolutionary approach. You can launch on a low-risk channel like email, wherein the AI bot score, Agentic AI launches really quickly in as low as a month. And it sort of sorts out your SLAs. You're responding within minutes rather than days. More users start using that channel. You scale it up to live chat in about 45 days, right? So 30 days for email. In 45 days, you have live chat. And that's when it's on your mobile app, it's on your website. And then finally, in about 60 to 90 days, you scale it to voice. So what happens is in this strategy is you start with a low risk channel, asynchronous email, and you end up with a high fidelity channel like voice. But within a 3-month period, you have done the entire journey where your customers now have an omni-channel agentic AI. In all of this, we also encourage you to give the same technology to your employees, whether they be at the branches or the customer service agents you already have, to enable them to answer customer queries faster. So, they can use the same thing at a back end to ask the same queries if someone's calling a human agent. When it comes to AI, a lot of people think it has to happen in the cloud.
Yeah.
And this is a myth that has been propagated, but it's not really true. In fact, using agentic AI platforms, you can really look at hosting it on your premise. It can be significantly cheaper while keeping you 100% compliant and having no worries about any foreign AI model being trained on your data, on your customer sensitive information. So this is something that we have done for a couple of Caribbean institutions, wherein you take this GPU infrastructure, which is not very expensive, and host an LLM locally and have your agentic AI platform as well locally.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one model where, so there are about 4 components to when you deploy agentic AI, right? There is all the static information that you're giving it. There are all the applications that you're integrating with, right? Core banking, core insurance, card systems, etc. There's the LLM, the language model itself, and then there's the agentic AI platform that's kind of connecting with everything and putting it all together. Now, what we found is powerful when you're looking at compliance, right? So they're kind of trying to metricize 2 things: speed of deployment, right? Getting it out there fast, being fully secure and keeping ownership of your data, and just getting through the door of compliance as quickly as possible, right? So for certain institutes, and we've actually in the Caribbean had all 3 styles, like these are the 4 kind of windows you can actually deploy something like this in. So we've had institutions that have done everything on public cloud, right? So that's the Fluid AI cloud, deployed everything. Or if it's someone else, we've seen institutions do everything on cloud publicly. There have been approaches where you kind of do a hybrid, where just the static information, the core integrations are on the customer cloud, whereas the rest is in public cloud. And the most secure is where you put, I wouldn't say most secure, actually most relevant for certain situations is the last one, where you have everything resting on your particular private cloud, private infra. We just had an institution do the complete left side and then the complete top side, and I think we've seen success across. It just depends on what are your organization's parameters, how they look at data, how they look at different layers and how it works.
And the third thing is you can actually build up functionality for your agentic AI platform over a period of time. It doesn't need to be that you need to give everything to your end users on day one. You can actually build it up step by step. So you can go with something as generic as just giving the website information with a typical retrieval augmentation generation engine. That goes live within 3 weeks. So that's giving website and product information from SOP documents. And then you keep on. Typically, we have seen about 20 to 25% of customer support queries in our implementation with Caribbean institutions are related to most of this generic static information. So that's a quick win, where 20 to 25% of the support goes live in as less as 3 weeks. And then you go with deeper integrations with different applications across your stream of maybe core banking, credit card systems, CRMs, etc. And you keep on adding functionality. So this allows you to go live really quickly. And then add more and more functionality as you scale.
Absolutely. And I think the mantra is to try and go live fast, because that's when you get the most amount of data insights. I know we had a question earlier of how this is different from traditional bots. And I think one of the things that GenAI today allows you to do is go live very, very quickly, right? Like set up tons of things. If you're going live with just like a base version, like Raghav said, you can go live even faster. And then if you want to do integrations again, it's just about throwing all the knowledge in and making it accessible to the AI.
And how do you really select what kind of use cases you want to go first? So this is a framework we've come up with, wherein you take business value on the left. That in this case, in customer support and sales, these are the use cases where the most amount of calls are coming in, the most amount of product is being sold. And you take feasibility on the right. So you don't want to change too much of the customer's operations, your own operations, your own maturity. And you sort of come up with this triangle by saying where are the likely wins, right? Where the highest business value rests and where you don't need to change your operations much because of implementing a technology like Agentic AI. And then you sort of go towards the right, wherein you say, okay, now that I've done all my likely wins, I go to a slightly higher place where the business value is high, but maybe I need to change my functionality a bit. Maybe, it's a little more harder technically to get it done. That's where you go. So that's sort of where you start with the likely wins, move to the calculated risks, and then the marginal gains. It's not only about support, right? We are very excited. And when we look at the Caribbean, there's such a big opportunity. About 80% of Caribbean financial institutions are not reaching out to existing customers for upsell or cross-sell activities. So when we looked at our Agentic AI report, our generative AI report, which we'll be sharing some tidbits from later, a lot of institutions are facing a struggle in reaching out to existing customers on the upsell cross-sell side. Even 50% of new customer queries are answered not within the first 4 golden hours, but much later, maybe the next day, sometimes even the next 3 days. And most Caribbean financial institutions are only able to respond between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., whereas their customers may be browsing at all times of the day, maybe post-work hours, etc. So when we add Agentic AI to this paradigm, which understands products, can do it multi-channel over phone, over email, over live chat, and allows for the onboarding to occur as well, right? So it's not just information shared, but it's actually saying, okay, can I actually onboard you onto this new product? That's when it becomes a paradigm shifting effect, wherein we have seen sales go up as much as 70% for some of the Caribbean institutions we have implemented this technology for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's kind of interesting, right? I think most traditional approaches of selling have all become very like, oh, choose from these 6 products that I have, right? And then I'll take you down different journey paths, whether it's on the website, whether it's, some other medium.
On the traditional bots.
Yeah, on the traditional bots, and you'll have those buttons come up. But I think the world is moving towards a lot of understanding the customer's need, understanding where they come from, really getting insights into the customer and learning more about them, and then intelligently designing the right set of products for them. And it kind of makes sense, right? Like an LLM or a language model would do this far more intuitively and better than any kind of rubric or system you create. And I think that's changing the game for a lot of institutions, where customers are saying, wow, these banks or these insurers that we're talking to now that are leveraging generative AI are actually understanding me far better before pitching me a product.
Right. And using agentic AI, you can really look even for large organizations and small organizations. When customer support has this peaks and troughs, right? And it's typically outsourced in the Caribbean, or you may have a small team.
Yeah.
The challenge is that, how do you get that saving is because it can answer up to 75 to 90% of the queries, right? So 75 to 90% of customer queries across channels like email, phone, and live chat can be answered by this. And that's what we've seen in our implementations. So that's where there's a significant saving of 70% that can occur. And what we've noticed also in the Caribbean is 30 to 40% increase in queries, right? Most financial institutions are growing, customers are demanding better service, so those queries are increasing. And through using agentic AI, you don't really need to add team members to solve these issues. It can scale quite linearly. And for smaller institutions who don't have a mature customer service, this can be a leapfrog, right? You don't need to set up a customer service team. Agentic AI can be your first port of call in terms of setting up your customer service or mature customer service function. So we love talking about case studies. We work with one of the largest institutions in the Caribbean. They had a 5 to 7 day delay in customer emails, a 500% call center that's growing at 30% due to increased volumes, an average hold times of 5 to 7 minutes. Customer support costs were in the region of $4 million annually. And after Fluid AI, what they did was they exposed Fluid AI to their human agents. They have doubled the human agent productivity. 75% of all emails are answered within 2 minutes, which was previously a 5 to 7 day period. The email channel has doubled in size because most people now are asking on email because they're seeing that response already come through. The instant AI chat is now can solve up to 80% of the queries instantaneously. So it's 80%. This is growing. They'll keep on adding more and more functionality. This will finally reach about 90-95% towards the end. And 30% of all phone queries are being solved by the AI in week 1. This scales to 60% by the month end, and then grows to that 80% which live chat does as well. So what have they seen? They've seen a 50% reduction in customer support costs, a 400%, a 4x return on investment, and it's a 100% fully compliant implementation, which is key when it comes to AI. And it's integrated with CRM, core banking, and the card system. And this moves on to the sales side as well. Abhinav. Would you want to maybe talk about how they achieved not just support, but the same institution took it to a sales paradigm and grew their sales business?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot about looking at this as a great opportunity for not just giving great customer support, but winning a lot of customers and winning a lot of deals in the space. Here's a classic example, right? You have a lot of customers coming in, and most orgs have this challenge, right? They have them coming in their sales channels, right? Whether it's the website, whether it's on WhatsApp, but they really struggle to take those customers and actually convert them in. And that's where having a system that's almost 100x faster. So we've seen organizations that used to take about 7 to 10 days to qualify customers, and then after they've qualified the customer, the qualification process was like, okay, you put an inquiry on the website, then someone would call you, they'd ask you a bunch of details, and someone else would call you, a more specialized person, and then they'd say, okay, you're right for this product. But taking that down to be 100x faster to do that within a couple of minutes, and then being 24/7 truly becomes a game changer for your customer experience, and just drives a lot of value, right? So it's yes about the experience, but about the ROI that you bring in. So this particular institute, within about a quarter, had about $6 million of business come in, wins within just 6 months, and another $11.5 million of leads created. So it almost filled up the entire lead pipeline for that particular year very, very quickly. just as the system started ramp. And that's what gave them that 5x return, right? So in the amount that they invested in deploying a solution like this, within 6 months, they were able to get a 5x return straight on their doorstep. So it really enabled a lot of these leaders to, get promotions, get ahead in their career by leveraging GenAI. I think a lot of leaders today are kind of figuring out which boat they sit in, right? And I used to be too, right? Like, oh, is AI going to replace us? And make us worthless, or is it going to be the next gift of mankind and going to really take us to the next level? And I think a lot of organization leaders need to realize that they're never going to be replaced by an AI, but they definitely need to be leveraging AI skills, because those leaders that can leverage AI efficiently are going to see massive returns in what they do. And they're going to end up replacing folks and grow out past folks that are probably not leveraging a lot of these AI technologies for their day-to-day.
Right. And it all finally leads to another case study, which we did in the region, which was in North America, wherein existing human agents were also enabled with this technology, and they saw 5x more productive output going forward. So it's not just the customers, but it can be turned on to the human agents, the ground staff, who can then use it to be much more productive. And that leads to savings, like about a $5 million saving for this particular institution. Again, very powerful. And it's been the experience in the Caribbean, right? We work with NCB, we work with Guardian, and it's been something that a lot of people have appreciated, that in terms of Gen AI, these things can get really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think today, if you look at organizations like with Fluid AI, we currently work with a lot of the larger Caribbean organizations, so including Belize Bank, NCB, the Guardian Group, First Citizens, just to name a few that work very closely and are doing amazing things. But I think it's time to the really fun part. So Raghav, I'll leave you to do the reveal.
Right. So last year we set out on a journey. We said, there's a lot of talk about generative AI, but we really wanted to see how is it being done in the financial sector in the Caribbean, right? Because there's a lot of discussion about Gen AI globally in banking as well, in financial industry. But in terms of how is the Caribbean sort of adapting to this, and we sort of said, can we do this report? So this is a report that we are very happy to launch today. Janvi will be sharing the link in the chat very shortly, and she shared it, so you can just check it out. But yeah, so going forward, in terms of just some highlights from that report, we thought there were a few 4 to 5 interesting factoids, and then obviously, you can read it at leisure. What we are seeing is the Gen AI market, when we look at it in the Caribbean, will increase from just $52 million to about $520 million in about 6 years. That's a 10x growth. Now, where you can enable your 10x in 6 years is fantastic. Right? That means about 50-60% growth year on year. And what we feel is leaders in the financial industry, it's up to you to see where you can put this technology, right? Because if it's going to grow so big, it's going to go 10 times in the next 6 years. There are definitely opportunities, customer support, sales being one of them, in terms of where you can sort of really implement this and get this, going big. Another interesting fact that we sort of came up in a survey by NVIDIA in the region was that most institutions are right now doing 1 to 2 use cases. They're thinking about 1 to 2 Gen AI use cases right now. There are some that have gone to 6 plus, and there's about a nice majority at 3 to 5 as well. I think what's going to happen is eventually we're going to reach a state wherein most institutions are going to have 10 plus use cases. So it's imperative that while we start off with use cases like sales, support, which are easy, which give you great returns, you also build your muscle, right? Because you're not going to end up with just 2 use cases when it comes to Agentic AI or Gen AI. You're going to look at 10, 15, because there are organizations already who are sort of reaching that limit, right? 6 plus.
Yep.
So there's a journey that we are very excited about. And what are the top use cases when we've talked to financial institutions, especially in the Caribbean, what they're thinking about? 26% have said the usage of pure language, NLP, LLMs, is the top use case. What's interesting is another great use case is next best action, right? Recommender systems, recommending to our customers what the next best product may be, what are the next best things they can do on their banking journey or their financial journey with us. The third one is portfolio optimization, which is another interesting one for asset managers, right? So some really interesting use cases coming up there. And another one was synthetic data generation, which I feel is interesting because when you look at the Caribbean, right, sometimes the data for most financial institutions is not as numerous as maybe as big as in in America, in Asia, because the number of customers may be smaller relatively. But synthetic data generation is a real opportunity for financial institutions to use Gen AI to really sort of grow themselves, especially in the Caribbean. I think when we talk to leaders in finance, they're saying customer service is one of the prime areas that they're looking for AI assistance. Customer service agents, 37% automation can occur, 28% augmentation can occur. So definitely, I think after tellers and credit analysts, they are the third biggest area where Gen AI can play a massive role. And this was what was a little surprising in terms of what we're seeing is with Gen AI usage in general in the region. We're seeing about in areas like India, Australia, we're seeing almost 50% and above usage of Gen AI. In Caribbean, it's a little small. I think this number is obviously maybe underreported, but there's a massive potential to really up this number for organizations who are coming on board right now to take the advantage versus their competition versus others in the region to really scale up this number when it comes to usage. So yeah, that's an imperative.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting approaches, right, when you look at your AI vision and how you should go about it, it comes on originates from a very interesting story. So there are these two organizations, right? The Sydney Opera, not organizations, but architectural structures. Buildings, the most iconic two buildings of the time, right? The Sydney Opera House and the Guggenheim Museum. Now, what's interesting about it, right, is both of these, and there's a lot to learn about how you need to implement AI from this. But what's super interesting is one of them was 8 years over budget in terms of time, right? It took 8 years longer to build. It was almost 100 and like almost 10 times over budget, and the other built on time and 10% under budget, right? And I'm going to reveal to you which one was which, but essentially it's the Sydney Opera House, right? They went with the approach of saying, okay, let's have a competition, and the winning design will win, and then we'll build it. So there was this architect that built this beautiful sailboat design, right? And we've all seen pictures or been to the Sydney Opera House. So that beautiful sailboat design, the judges went like, wow, this is amazing. We need to do this. But then they said, okay, how do we go about it? So that architect won. Then they said, okay, they gave this to the construction teams. Within 2 months of winning the award, they started breaking ground. And that's when they started running into trouble, right? I think 6 months to a year in, they realized, oh, this design is impractical. How do we build it? The sails, how do they have like structural strength? And how does the whole structure rest together? And that's when things started to go a bit array. The Guggenheim Museum, on the other hand, actually went with a very different approach. So same winning design wins. But at the end of it, they said, okay, we're just going to choose the architect. We're not going to kind of stickler him to the design we chose, because a sketch is a sketch. And that architect went in and took a room about the size of, I would say,
small office.
Yeah, like a small office. Like a small office. He took, next to the museum kind of museum site that was chosen. He took this little small office and he said, throw out all the chairs, throw out all the any separators, furniture, and completely empty office. Took a bunch of cardboard, plaster of Paris, bunch of components, and created with his team the first version of it. And they created that, and then they saw, okay, how's it looking? What are the impracticalities? What works? What doesn't work? Broke it apart, took a slightly bigger room, and did the same process again for 3 months. And did that same process in a bigger and bigger and bigger iteration. till after about 6 to 8 months of doing that, they said, okay, now we're ready with the right design that works. And now let's go ahead and build the actual Sydney, the Guggenheim Museum. And then they broke ground. And that's when they got the pace, they got the systems, they knew the problems ahead of time. So when you look at your AI vision, right, don't think of it as this one big grand strategy that will take you 6 months to figure out. And then once you figure it out, boom, that's the one you're going to go with. And you're just going to keep running down the races. Think of it like the Guggenheim Museum, right? Try a few experiments, build out, let's say, an AI agent for email support, see how that goes. Then kind of say, okay, now I can do live chat. Then I can do phone call. Or I need to attempt, like, maybe interesting use cases on the sales side, right? Can I do an interesting AI Gen AI use case on sales? Maybe put a bot out there and see what happens, and then start architecting and building our strategy. So it's about taking those quick wins, quick bets, learning, iterating, and growing, which is true for not just AI, but absolutely anything in life.
Awesome. I think we are at the end of our webinar.
Yep.
But before we leave, if you scan the code or visit the website, John, we will put the code in the chat as well.
Yeah. So this is for all webinar visitors that all that are here. The first 5. So this is a $1,000 workshop that Fluid AI runs. That the first 5 people that sign up will get this workshop free. So be sure to scan the QR or go to the link that Janvi's put up, but try and be first or try and be in the top 5. So speed matters, but it's essentially an AI workshop
for your organization,
for the organization, guiding you through how to select the right use cases, doing a deep analysis for an hour with your leaders, whoever you want to bring into that call, understanding your current vision, your current landscape in terms of structure, architecture, technical and non-technical architecture, and then building your own custom AI implementation strategy. It's actually, and it's going to be led by Raghav or me, one of them. So typically when we are usually running these workshops, we charge a minimum of $5,000 if we are personally coming for this. So it's a special for the Caribbean. You'll get it absolutely free. It's an opportunity you shouldn't miss. And yeah, first 5 get it. So, fastest keyboard first, as they say.
Awesome. All right. So, thank you everyone for your time today. For folks on your team who couldn't make it, we will be sharing the link for the recording, so you can share it further with your teams. And yes, we look forward to being in touch with all of you. And we'll keep sharing new and please join the AI community. John, we shared the WhatsApp link for that. Also our newsletter. So, that keeps you updated on what's happening in the Agentic AI and Gen AI space. And happy to take your questions or email. Most of you are connected with us on LinkedIn as well. So, we are happy to connect with all of you there.
Yeah, and if anyone has any parting questions, don't hesitate to put it in the comment box. We will, we have about 30 seconds to a minute left on this webinar time. So if there is anything, happy to address. But otherwise, I think everyone's been a lovely audience. We loved the interaction. I think it's been a big request for us to do this from a lot of folks. So, we finally got down to doing it, and, super thrilled that we were able to get it done. And so, thank you guys. Appreciate it, and wish everyone all the best and have a great week ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you all.